Radio Telefísér, and this is RTÉ One. Now we join Niall Carroll and Claire McNamara for the 6-1 News and Sport.
Good evening and welcome to 6-1. In Sunday's headlines, drug courier from diverted flight dies in hospital after swallowing a kilo of cocaine. The crisis in North Korea, the US says it will use diplomacy to help resolve the standoff. Soap stars come to town to help us become smoke-free in 2003.
And in Sunday's sports headlines, Arsenal and Liverpool all square after 2 penalties at Highbury. And Cockhardy Diamond lands the race of the day at Leopardstown.
An international drugs courier has died in Limerick after he swallowed and tried to smuggle a kilo of cocaine from Peru to Amsterdam. The 19-year-old Estonian died after some of the 94 capsules of pure cocaine he swallowed leaked during the flight. The plane was diverted to Shannon after he complained of feeling unwell.
Another tragic illustration of the dangers of the international drugs trade. The 19-year-old Estonian man was on a KLM flight from Lima, Peru to Amsterdam, although Gardaí believe he was due to fly on to Spain. He complained to cabin crew of feeling unwell and admitted he had swallowed drugs, so the flight was diverted to Shannon and he was taken to Limerick General Hospital. Doctors there discovered 25 9-gram capsules containing cocaine paste, a very potent and highly toxic form of the drug. However, attempts to save his life failed and he died in hospital early this morning. When the post-mortem was carried out, another 69 capsules of cocaine were found in his stomach.
This was quite crazy in that he ingested up to 2 pounds of cocaine, and obviously it dissolved in the stomach with contact with the gastric juices, and this poor fellow really didn't have a chance.
Detectives estimate the cocaine paste was around 80% pure and would have been cut up 4 times for sale on the streets. The drug trafficking gangs reconvert cocaine paste back to powder by baking it. At this level, there are 2 types of international drug smuggler: the courier who carries the drugs concealed and the mule who stuffs, or as in this case, Gardaí believe that this was not the first time the 19-year-old Estonian man smuggled drugs in this way, and that the cocaine was destined for the Spanish market. Paul Reynolds, RTÉ News at the Garda National Drugs Unit, Dublin.
Kenya's Electoral Commission has said that the opposition candidate has won the country's presidential election. The ruling KANU party had conceded defeat earlier in the day, bringing an end to its 40-year reign of power in Kenya.
The celebrations begin in the aftermath of an election which has been described as a political earthquake. After almost 4 decades of rule by the KANU party, Kenya finally has a new president, 71-year-old Mwai Kibaki. The optimism and excitement which greeted his election was palpable on the streets of Nairobi.
We are proud that now what they have been promising will be delivered now. Yes. Mr. Kibaki has it, and we are so excited that Kenya, our prayers are answered.
The new ruling party, the National Rainbow Coalition, is a grouping of 10 political parties who agreed to put their differences aside in an effort to defeat the outgoing president of 25 years, Daniel Arap Moi. Voter frustration with the ruling party prompted them to support the opposition. 63% of them did, and this is what their new leader promised them today.
It means, in effect, that Kenyans have given me a challenge to go ahead and fulfill all those things that I personally have been promising and our party has been promising. And I can assure you that is precisely what we are going to do.
Has urged the military to accept the results of this election, paving the way for what should be a peaceful transfer of power. Aoife Kavanagh, RTÉ News.
The US Secretary of State Colin Powell has said the United States has no plans to attack North Korea. He said the Bush administration is ready to wait months to see whether diplomacy can persuade Pyongyang to abandon its nuclear programs. North Korea is maintaining that it wants a peaceful solution to the confrontation but will not give in to threats.
The war of words over North Korea's attempt to revive its nuclear weapons programs continued today. In Pyongyang, 10,000 people gathered at this government-sponsored rally to denounce the hardline position being adopted by the United States. Speaker after speaker accused Washington of escalating the crisis, but in the US, Secretary of State Colin Powell was playing down the situation.
We are not planning a preemptive strike. The United States has a full range of capabilities: political, economic, diplomatic, and yes, military. But we are not trying to create a crisis atmosphere at this point by threatening North Korea.
Colin Powell said the US wouldn't attack North Korea's revived nuclear facility at Yongbyon because of the risk of contaminating the area now that the generator is active again. UN inspectors who've been monitoring the plant for the last 8 years are due to fly to Beijing in 2 days' time, having been ordered to leave. North Korea says it wants a peaceful solution to this confrontation, but won't bow to US pressure. Washington will be looking to its allies in the region to help get the message across.
I think it's appropriate that we should be active in trying to help the international community address this issue. But ultimately, nobody's looking for free-ranging by any country. We're looking for appropriately coordinated approaches. And there certainly will be now a greater role for the United Nations Security Council in the next few months.
The United Nations could spearhead an economic response, imposing sanctions on North Korea. Such action would be favoured by the Bush administration, which may target Pyongyang's profits from weapons sales as part of its economic collapse if it continues on its present course. Kathy Milner, RTÉ News.
The pressure on Iraq mounted today again, with reports that Saudi Arabia had promised to use the use of its airports to US forces in the event of war breaking out. The New York Times newspaper reported that Saudi Arabia had done a U-turn by telling US military officials the kingdom would make its air bases and an important operations centre available to the US forces. As UN arms experts visited 2 sites near Baghdad and examined a list of 500 Iraqi scientists said to be associated with Baghdad's arms programs. Police in the north have arrested a man in his 20s in connection with the fatal stabbing of a 16-year-old boy in Portadown in County Armagh. The victim, Samuel Killops, was attacked at about 11:30 last night and died later in hospital. Police don't believe there was a sectarian motive and have begun a murder investigation. Also in the north, a 23-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the murder of 22-year-old Jonathan Stewart in North Belfast on Thursday. The time for New Year's resolutions is almost upon us, and once again thousands of smokers around the country will use the occasion to try to give up their habit. To encourage them, members of the cast of Coronation Street came to Dublin today to launch the 2003 campaign.
If you're a smoker, and 500,000 of us in Ireland are, then doctors say the healthiest New Year's resolution you could make is to stop smoking. As encouragement, some of Coronation Street's confirmed smokers are themselves going to try to kick the habit.
Yeah, the main reason being that I'm running the London Marathon in April next year, middle of April, 13th of April.
We smoke at work, don't we, when we're rehearsing, so that'll probably help a lot for us.
Like smoking the rovers and smoking like when we're doing McDonald's scenes, like when we're going through lines, so if he stops and I stop, then hopefully, yeah.
I always pinch Sarah's anyway, so it'll help me to...
Other cast members, both non-smokers and ex-smokers, are lending their support.
People just do it just to socialise, basically. They have a drink in one hand, they have a fag in the other, and that's how it is. But I've never done it, never tried it, and nobody in my family does. I just don't see, like you, I don't see the big deal.
My mum and dad smoke. I was brought up with it, but me and my brother, my nana brainwashed us when we was little, and when my nana died, I was like, well, she'll be watching over me, so I better not.
When you give up smoking, when you finally do it, and you're never going to, because it's 5 years now, your taste is amazing afterwards. You put a little bit of weight on, but it goes.
You know, there's lots of different helps you can get. You can go to the doctor and they'll help you stop smoking, and, you know, there's patches or there's hypnosis. I mean, there's lots of different ways, so just try and, you know, you don't have to do it on your own.
I think we need to realise that 17 people are going to die today in Ireland. 17 more are going to die tomorrow and 17 more the day after, directly as a result of smoking-related diseases.
So the Corrie Star's message, there's every reason to be smoke-free in Beth Ann Kilfoyle, RTÉ News.
An Post has revealed that as many as 1 million Christmas cards and other post has not yet been delivered due to processing delays. The company blames the delays on an increase in volume and changes in processing systems. The undelivered cards and letters are mainly in the Dublin area, where an automated sorting system came on stream 6 weeks ago. A spokesman said the delays are also due to a 5% rise in volume this Christmas. The company claims that all outstanding mail should be delivered by Monday or Tuesday of next week. 2 Irishmen are about to begin an expedition across Antarctica using ski buggies pulled by kites. Jamie Young and Brian Cunningham, both originally from County Antrim, plan to effectively sail 600 miles across the continent within 10 days. If they succeed, they'll revolutionise polar travel, as it usually takes about 2 months to drag heavy sledges the same distance. To come on the 6-1, we'll have the day's sport with Claire. And Limerick's St John's Cathedral is to get an €8 million facelift.
The Woodies DIY end-of-year sale is now on with 20% off everything. That's right, everything.
With O2, media messages are free until the end of January. And the Nokia 7650 imaging phone is now available from just €299 from O2, while stocks last.
See what you can do. O2.
Waiting to be discovered. Take a few days away and make a break for it.
This year's CompuStore sale is massive. A full range of computer prices have been slashed. Prices on a huge selection of PDAs and notebooks decimated. Printer prices pulverized. Digital cameras dissected. And daily specials, some half price or less. But hurry, many offers are on a first-come basis. CompuStore. We've got sale prices clicked.
Oh no, not dazzling whites again.
Mrs. Jones, you need Daz.
Daz?
That's right. Because with Daz's new voucher system, you can treat your child to a juicy Burger King Kids meal. Free, with every packet.
Sauce, mayonnaise, cola, all thanks to Daz.
For great results, it has to be Daz.
Burger King.
Golden Discs proudly present 40 Licks, the best of the Rolling Stones. All the band's hits collected together for the first time on one double CD. "40 Licks, the best of the Rolling Stones." Available now in all Golden Disc stores.
Welcome back to 6-1 News and Sport. In Sunday's sports headlines, Arsenal and Liverpool share the points at Highbury. RTÉ Diamond lands the feature in testing conditions at Leopardstown, while Lissapuerig is successful in the December hurdle. We'll have Premiership action for you shortly, but first, after another early morning inspection at Leopardstown, racing was given the go-ahead, though conditions were extremely testing at the Dublin track today. The feature race, the Paddy Power Handicap Chase, was won by 14 to 1 shot RTÉ Diamond. With more heavy rain overnight and this morning, conditions deteriorated at Leopardstown for today's meeting. Friday's card was transferred to today with the addition of the Grade 1 Evening Hurled December Festival Hurdle, which got proceedings underway at noon. The expected odds-on Butterfly was due to make her seasonal reappearance in this one, but she, along with the 7 other Christie Roach runners, was withdrawn due to worries about a virus at the Curragh Yard. In her absence, Lissa Puerig was sent off 11-10 favourite.
Lissa Puerig getting a good reception. She strides up to the line for a deserved success. Lissa Puerig wins it for the John Kiley stable by a wide margin. Stage Affair is second, better as they race down.
Moscow Flyer was the odds-on favourite for the Paddy Power Chase. Jessica Harrington's Charge, still the anti-post favourite for the Queen Mother Champion Chase at Cheltenham, achieved an easy victory, completing a double for jockey Barry Geraghty.
Moscow Flyer safely over. Barry Geraghty looking over his shoulder. He's going right away from knife edge. Go Roger Go, making a very satisfactory return from his long layoff, but going to the line, it's going to be very easy indeed for Moscow Flyer. Cheered home this high-class 2-miler, going to the line, getting a bit tired in front. Understandable as they go to the line in very testing conditions. Moscow Flyer wins the Paddy Power Dial-A-Bet Chase.
I'm absolutely delighted with him, and I'm relieved because, you know, the ground was very heavy here today. And when I got here and everyone says, is he going to run? I said, yes, he is. He's here. He's going to run. And I was delighted with him. He jumped probably better than off that ground, and he has for a good while.
Just 2 horses went to post for the future champions novices hurdle, Solarina and Central House, from an original declaration of 5 horses. Solarina, a stablemate of Limestone Lad, was the winner under Ruby Walsh. And so on to the big race of the day, the €170,000 Paddy Power Handicap Chase. There were 21 starters for this 3-mile marathon, but in the very testing conditions, only 9 completed the course. Finian's Ivy replaced last year's winner, I Can Imagine, as favourite, but it was caught by young Tremor jockey Gary Hutchinson, who landed the big prize.
As they race into the closing stages, RTÉ Diamond and Gary Hutchinson, pursued by a riderless horse, Satko Slams in second. As they race into the closing stages, RTÉ Diamond and Gary Hutchinson are going to win the Paddy Power Handicap Chase. They were second 2 years ago, and it's a win for Noel Meade. Gary Hutchinson touches the air as RTÉ Diamond wins.
And check now on the Leopardstown and Limerick winners, starting at Leopardstown at 12 o'clock. Number 5, Lissa Puerig, 11-10 favourite. The 12:30, number 8, Mutineer, 5-1. The 1 o'clock, number 18, Stackamy Bridge, 4-1. The 1:30, number 3, Moscow Flyer, 9-4 on. The 2 o'clock, number 3, Solarina, 9-4 on. The 2:35, number 19, RTÉ Diamond, 14-1. The 3:10, number 9, Jack High, 9-1. And to the 3:40, number 1, Kahuna at 4-1. As we move on to the winners from Limerick, the 12:20 there went to number 10, Steel Band, 11-10 favourite. The 12:50, number 7, Fashions Monty, 8-1. The 1:20, number 3, Rathgar Bow, 9-4 on. The 1:55, number 1, Colonel Monroe, 5-4 on. The 2:25, number 7, Lime Supreme, 7-2. The 2:55, number 1, Brown Street, 7-4. And the 3:25 went to number 4, Jerry Strange, at 3-1. Well, Arsenal were looking to extend their lead at the top of the Premiership table to 7 points this evening as they played host to Liverpool at Highbury. The Merseysiders were hoping to end their worst run of league results for almost 50 years.
A crux encounter at Highbury as Arsenal went in search of the win that would open a 7-point lead at the top, while Liverpool knew defeat could mean the end of any real title aspirations for this season. Though justly admired for their abundance of skill, the defending champions are also capable of physical domination. Liverpool penned well inside their own half in the opening stages, conceded after 15 minutes before Sol Campbell's header was disallowed for a foul on Salif Diao. The traffic was all in one direction for much of the opening 45, Arsenal attacking, Liverpool confident in their organisation at the back, so little surprise that the home side came closest to opening the scoring, Wiltord stopped in his tracks by Chris Kirkland. Chances of a first-half goal were lessened further by Michael Owen's departure through injury, while at the other end, though Arsenal continued to press, they never really troubled Kirkland, Thierry Henry's header well wide of the mark.
This isn't a difficult header.
Thankfully for those watching, the second half proved a more open contest, and Liverpool had their keeper to thank once again after a great stop from Robert Pires early on, but Gerard Houllié's side should have taken the lead themselves moments later, only for El Hadj Diouf to spurn a real opportunity. Yet when the deadlock was finally broken, it was the visiting fans who celebrated. Sol Campbell guilty of bringing down Milan Baros, Danny Murphy's clinical dispatch of the resulting penalty, giving Seaman no chance. 8 minutes later, Arsenal did get back on level terms thanks to a spot kick of their own. Risa's foul on Jeffers, slightly more questionable, but no doubting the quality of Henry's strike. And it was the home side who came closest to taking all the spoils in the final seconds when Gilberto found himself with a clear chance. But the shot was wide and the points were shared. All bets for the title still on. Joe Stack, RTÉ News.
Well, earlier this afternoon, Newcastle United played host to Tottenham at St James's Park, and they made it 8 successive home wins. Gary Speed fired past Casey Keller in the Spurs goal, with the Tynesiders ahead after 17 minutes. And the points looked to be safe when Alan Shearer headed home his 15th goal of the season near the hour mark. However, a spectacular own goal by Nicolas Dabitas ensured a tense finish. Confirmation now of those two Premiership results. Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1, Newcastle 2, Tottenham 1. And Arsenal now lead the table by 5 points from Chelsea and Manchester United. Newcastle are up to 4th, just ahead of Everton on goal difference. Liverpool are now 9 points behind the leaders in 6th place. In the Scottish Premier League, there's no change at the top of the table after this afternoon's games. Rangers and Celtic had both had narrow victories, so Rangers stay 1 point ahead of their great rivals. Henrik Larsson was on target for Celtic in their victory over Dunfermline. Let's take a check now on the scorelines. Celtic 1, Dunfermline 0, Dundee 1, Hearts 2, Hibernian 2, Aberdeen 0, Kilmarnock 0, Rangers 1, Livingston 1, Motherwell 0, Partick 0, Dundee United 0. On the home front, meanwhile, there was just one match in the Aircom League, the First Division clash of Limerick and Dublin City. The result from there, Limerick 1, Dublin City 3. And next to rugby, well, there was one game this afternoon in Division 1 of the AIB All-Ireland League. It ended at Duradoyle. Garryowen 6 points, Galwegians 20. Galwegians are now up to 4th place. And that's the sport for now. I'll have more in our 9 o'clock bulletin. Niall.
Claire, thank you very much. The Diocese of Limerick has embarked on one of its most ambitious projects in its history, the restoration of the city's famous St John's Cathedral. The 2-year restoration plan will cost over €8 million.
St John's Cathedral, one of Limerick City's great landmarks and a cornerstone church in the entire Diocese of Limerick. There's been a place of worship on the church site at Garryowen since the 12th century, and the magnificent cathedral was built on borrowed pennies and sixpences by the community just after the famine in 1850. It has the highest spire in Ireland, but the spire and roof and interior plasterwork had been badly damaged from decades of water leaks, and repair work simply could not wait any longer. It's a mammoth job, both structurally and financially, to take on.
The roof consists of about almost 1 acre, and there's a mile and 3/4 of guttering. The spire itself is 308 feet, plus a 14 foot cross on top of it. It's a magnificent structure that was built here out of Garryowen stone, and then for the top of the spire they brought stone down the canal to finish the spire off in 1880.
The €8 million restoration is being supported by individual parishes and by the sale of diocesan assets. But Bishop Donal Murray believes there's an obligation on the people of the city to continue to preserve something built generations before, when people had so little money.
It's something that we have to take on. It's something that we've inherited. When you think of how people built this amazing structure, you know, without scaffolding, without anything, just around the time of the famine. And if they were able to do that, I think the least we owe them is to put it right when it needs to be put right now.
Kathy Halloran, RTÉ News, St John's Cathedral, Limerick.
And the main news again this Sunday evening. A drugs courier attempting to smuggle a kilo of cocaine in his stomach has died in Limerick after the drug, which he had swallowed in capsule form, began leaking. His flight from Peru to Amsterdam had been diverted to Shannon, where he became ill. And that's all from the newsroom for now. Una O'Hagan will be here with the main evening news at 9, but from Claire and me for now, good evening.
Good evening.
With Aircom call answering, you don't have to stop what you're doing when the phone rings.
Hello there and a very good evening to you. Tonight's picture in the RTÉ Aircom weather photo competition comes to it courtesy of Michael Keneally, a shot of Ireland's highest mountain is the McGillicuddy Reeks with a light dusting of snow. If you'd taken your camera down to the Reeks today, you would have seen very little because they were buried under cloud and rain and mist and fog that covered much of the country. Here's the great swirl of cloud which pushed across us and brought us quite an amount of rain during the night and yet more rain this morning. It's all swirling around a big, deep, low pressure centre. The centre is out there in the Atlantic, and that's where it's going to stay, I think, for the coming days. It's going to continue to bring this area of mild weather right up over us, continue to bring us plenty of cloud and rain too as we head into the middle of the week and the new year. This is what the chart looks like this evening. You can see one weather front, the one which brought last night's rain to much of the country, still hanging about over the north of the country, and then this little wave here brought rain across many areas through the afternoon. Now they'll all tend to be moving away to the east as we go through the night, but as they do so, this little low pressure forming, keeping showers going, I think. That's the chart for tomorrow. And then moving on into Tuesday, New Year's Eve, this weather system very weak at that stage, and another weather system beginning to brew up in the Atlantic and come up towards us. That'll bring us rain, I think, on New Year's Eve as we go into the hours of darkness. So if you're out celebrating at that stage, you'll want to bring an umbrella or something. It's probably going to be wet. Coming back to this evening, and you can see the way the rain has been pushing across the country during the afternoon. Now in the last couple of hours it's been clearing away from a lot of Connacht, a lot of Munster, the very south of Leinster. So for the early part of the night, the rain principally in the east and in the north, and then later on I think probably clearing away from the east, hanging on to the north, but lots of fog developing as the skies begin to clear. I think it's going to be quite a murky night. Later on we'll probably see a few showers turning on to the west and southwest coast as well. Temperatures in most places in double figures, a bit cooler in the north where there's still a touch of an easterly breeze. That easterly wind going to stay with us, I think, as we go through into tomorrow, when that weather front drifts out of the way. Tomorrow a murky day, just brightening up slowly across the centre of the country and some showers. Bye-bye.
Let Aircom Call Answering take your messages. Find out more at aircom.ie.
Some of the best moments from Breaking Ball, hosted by Michael Lester, starting shortly on 2.
Sail on a Tesco, sail on a Tesco, sail on a Tesco.
They got carried away.
The Tesco sale is now on. Call to your local store for bargains you can't afford to miss.
Tesco, every little helps.
Uncover designer brands with 30 to 70% off recommended retail prices. Uncover Brand Central Designer Outlet Centre, Rathdowney near Portlaoise.
Electricity is one of the great forces of nature. And just like any force of nature, it should never be taken for granted. Call ESB for free copies of Farm Well, Farm Safely and the safe use of electricity in the home, and learn about electrical safety. Respect the power of electricity.
Why do you hold me?
While you're asleep, your cravings don't bother you. So try Nicorette Patch, the only patch designed just for waking hours. Beat cigarettes one at a time. You're twice as likely to succeed with Nicorette Daytime Only Patch.
Now that you're not just what you can buy. Now that we know we weren't always right. Now that the future happened yesterday. Now that people are what matter most to people. Now that we know we're not as smart as we really thought. Now that you don't want to go faster anywhere. Now that we know that the greatest risk is not to risk. Now that we don't have to sleep in order to dream.
Now is the time to start all over again.
Would the Holy Temple like a cool glass of Brita filtered water?
That would be lovely.
Less hardness, less chlorine, fewer impurities. Brita.
Don't miss Tile Market's incredible half-price sale. All Continental ceramic wall and floor tiles, excluding borders and decors, have been slashed to half price. And with special offers on all wooden flooring, this is one sale not to be missed.
We're Tile Market.
Sale now on.
Now on One, Daniel O'Donnell sings some of his favourite songs with guest star Mary Duff.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Daniel O'Donnell, Shades of Green.